Imagine getting woken up in the morning by your parents saying, hey, Jaden, let's go. We're going to go see a silent movie. At first, this day and age, you would sit here and you would think to yourself, well, how am I supposed to interpret some of the things that's going on if he's not talking? Yes, he's showing action, but he's not talking. Or you're just seeing movements. And that's what they had back in the 1920s. That is what people watched for entertainment. Now, I'm going to let Casey take this away to explain more about the movie industry.
By the middle of the decade, about 50 million people went to the movies per week. And by 1929, attendance grew to 110 million people per week. This caused the theaters to renovate. At first, all movie theaters were built like public buildings, but then the middle class put in better seats, carpets, bathrooms, and an organ that cost approximately $15,000 to make the theater more luxurious. They also did select times to show movies compared to the working class that showed a movie continuously. In Chicago, they put in enough seats so that half the city's population could come and watch a movie every day. Warner Brothers, which was a new film industry that was struggling at the time, made movie theaters become really crowded when movies with sound came out, which they saw as a way to beat their competitors. In 1926, Warner Brothers came out with Don Juan, which was the first film with a film score also. A film score is music written for a certain film. In 1927, Warner Brothers released The Jazz Singer. It made any doubt of movies with sound disappear. After this, about 300 theaters were set up with a sound system. This new way of watching movies did change some aspects of the theater experience in the Roaring '20s. The attendance was now expected to stay quiet so they could hear the movie instead of being able to talk and not missing anything. One film historian says, "The talking audience for silent pictures became a silent audience for talking pictures." It also affected stage shows and live entertainment that were in silent movie houses because they started to decrease and were replaced by newsreels and short animations.
Wow. Imagine just having nothing, having a silent movie, and then going straight up, building and working your way up to having sounds in movies and having sound systems in your movie theater, and now just having a theater that is built for the community. Now I'm going to get it started here, the second part and the final part of our project, with the actors section and how acting has evolved. Mary Pickford was one of the most influential stars in silent filmmaking ever. In 1906, she was a biograph bit actress. And then 10 years after that, she became one of the most influential stars of all time. She was known as the Queen of Hollywood and America's sweetheart. Now, way back in 1920, you would drive the same car, you would have the same house. People didn't care what they looked like, everything like that. I mean, yeah, they put makeup on, they made themselves look nice, but this is when influence became big. Because Mary Pickford, in 1920, became one of the first, she was the first star to become a millionaire. And when she got married in late March of 1920, she was granted a 22-room mansion in Beverly Hills. Now, as soon as that surfaced around the town and around the state and around everything like that, people thought to themselves, well, I can do this now. If she can, I can. So this just evolved the music industry. This made people want to join the movie industry and want to become an actress or an actor and have that much money to be able to retire in about 5 to 10 years. as Mary had done. In 1930, she had retired. So everybody started dressing up like Mary, doing their hair like as they see in the movies, and also they would even want to start acting in movies so that they could make the money that she did. Now, one person who has starred in movies other than Mary and became successful was Hedy Lamarr. Hedy Lamarr was one of the most successful actresses in the world. At the age of only 14, Hedy was enrolled in an acting school that was owned by the biggest directors in Hollywood at the time. And they taught her the ins and outs of acting and how she could better herself in this movie industry. So Hedy went on to play in certain movies such as No Money Needed, The Trunks of Mr. O.F., Gold on the Street, and Storm in a Water Glass. Those were her biggest movies in the late 1920s that made her become one of the most inspirational influences of America in the sound and original movie industry as we see today, such as movies with sound and everything like that. Hedy also became an inspiration for new characters such as Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and a whole lot of other characters that have came out in the later years. So we see Hedy Lamarr be an inspiration for characters like Catwoman and Snow White even. So that just goes to tell you that one can inspire you to have the biggest house and the biggest cars and the most expensive jewelry and everything like that. And some actresses or actors can inspire different characters in the movie industry. Thank you so much.